Welcome back to A Snicker of Magic by Natalie Lloyd. At least that's what I think it's spelled like. Either way, we've got 6 more pages in from Chapter 8. This is the second part of Chapter 8. And let's begin. So many, hundreds and billions and trillions of words, woven across the ceiling, shining as soft as the September sun. I was surrounded by words and stories in dust-speckled light. That's a pretty perfect way to be. In the center of Oliver's library was a round table. Jonah pulled a chair out and wheeled underneath the tabletop while he prepared for his meeting. I explored the first level of Oliver's library. The walls were mostly covered by bookshelves, but one wall was full of maps and photographs. There was a map of Midnight Gulch and another map of the state of Tennessee. Tennessee was poked all full of so many stick pins that it looked like one of Cleo's stuffed hedgehogs. Pictures were propped against the books on the shelves, black and white photos of people mostly. Jonah pointed to a colored picture in a frame made of aluminum can lights. See that one right there? That's how I first met Oliver. The photograph showed a little light building. A line of smiling kids stood in front of it, grinning toothy big. They looked Franny Joe's age. Can you keep another secret? Jonah asked. Yes, I said, which was mostly true. I knew as soon as I got home I would tell Biscuit. I tell her everything, but as far as I know, she doesn't go blabbing to anybody else. Jonah said I started saving up Coke cans a few summers ago. I took them to the recycling center and saved up all the change, and eventually I had enough money to build a little school for some kids in Haiti. My uncle is a missionary there, and he's always sending me letters about the dreams he's working on. One day I read his letter and my know-how knocked in, so I started saving. I looked at the picture, I looked back at Jonah. How many cans did that take? Thousands, Jonah said, but it didn't take all that long. Mama and the guys at the shop all helped me. They all saved up Coke cans and sent them my way. You built a school? His cheeks burned bright red. It was a little school. With Coke cans? The red on his face crept quickly from his cheeks all the way to his hairline. He nodded and unfolded his newspaper and started concentrating on the stories there. Keep it a secret, okay? No problem. I sure wouldn't want people knowing I built a whole entire school out of Coke cans. That's definitely the kind of secret you don't want getting out. It feels better when it's secret, Jonah said. Oliver heard about what I'd done, even though I did my best to keep it quiet, and one thing led to another, and he appointed me the new beetle. The new beetle? I asked. What happened to the old beetle? Why even call it a beetle? You'll see, Jonah said. He pointed to the air all around us. See any words worth keeping? I see a sky full of words. I scribbled furiously in my blue book. Becoming, Hulkinon, Ravel, Serendipity, Summer, Ice Cream, Charlie Sue hollered as she pushed a silver cart through the library door. She set down tall glass ice cream dishes in front of me and Jonah. Then she spread a towel across the center of the table and sat out six cartons of ice cream. I still wasn't so sold on Dr. Zook's ice cream being the best thing to come out of Midnight Gulch, but that's because I'd only tasted Aunt Chloe's carton of chocolate chip pork rind, and I'd gagged 4 times. The flavors Charlie Sue set out looked a whole lot more interesting. Orange's caramel apple pie, Virtual's get out of my face fudge ripple, Andy's snickerdoodle sucker punch, Jimmy's waste vanilla all I want, Day's chocolate orange switcheroo, marshmallow matcha delight. Wow. I'm partile to Aunt Luna's lavender rosewater, said Charlie Sue. Are they all named after people? I asked. Not all of them. Jonah reached for the chocolate orange switcheroo flavor. People in Midnight Gulch like to send in their ideas, though if it's any good, Oliver gives them credit. Jonah plopped a spoonful of chocolate orange switcheroo into my glass. Try this one. I took a small bite to start with. The ice cream melted against my tongue, sweet and fruity and smooth. Then came the switcheroo part, a chocolate fudge flavor that caused the corners of my jaws to tingle with happiness, but bittersweet, tangy citrus. Crazy good. I watched the words freeze against my ice cream glass. I stopped to write them down, and that's when I noticed a very familiar word drifting across the table. Stoneberry. Stoneberry? I mumbled. Makes sense. Jonah nodded. Like I said, Oliver was done all sorts of research on the Weatherly brothers. Didn't need to go far for research, said a man in a doorway. Even though I knew that man had to be the mysterious millionaire Oliver, I was still a little surprised because Oliver did not look like a millionaire. He looked like a farmer or a cowboy, maybe, but mostly he just looked like somebody's grandpa. Oliver was shorter than I figured he'd be. He had a shiny black head and a fuzzy white mustache. He wore faded jeans and a flannel shirt rolled up to the elbows. "Hey-yo," Oliver grinned at me, "and good morning and welcome." He didn't talk like a millionaire either. When he reached to shake my hand, I noticed a dark tattoo on his forehead, but I couldn't make out what it was just yet. "Hey-yo, and thanks," I said. Oliver glanced at Jonah and raised one fuzzy eyebrow. "Pumpernickel?" Jonah nodded. "Felicity's the one I told you about. Remember? She's cool." "All right then," Oliver nodded. "Jonah says you're interested in the Weatherly brothers. You're interested in the Weatherly brothers, Miss Felicity?" Yes. Yep, I answered. Oliver pulled a picture frame off one of the bookshelves and handed it to me. The photograph was old, black and white, and faded, but I could tell that the man in the picture was young. His dark, shady hair fell down over one eye. He wore overalls sized a bit too short for his long, lanky frame, and he held a banjo high up right across his chest. I could tell he wasn't playing that banjo, though. His hand clutched too tightly around the neck. I wondered if he was in a habit of holding his banjo over his chest to protect his heart. Maybe that banjo was a shield to him. Maybe he felt safe behind it. Oliver tapped the picture frame. Barry Weatherly, was a famous magician, but you've heard that already, I reckon. I nodded. Oliver sighed. There's always more to the story than what you've heard. Here's what most people don't know about Barry. He liked cold weather and hot coffee. He loved to sew, and he loved to tell stories. Stories were his best magic, and Oliver's fuzzy mustache turned up at the edges when he smiled. Barry Weatherly was my grandfather. I'd be happy to tell you more about him. The truth about him. Yes, yes, yes. My heart pounded over Oliver's words. My heart always pounded out a yes when people were fixing to tell me a good story. Felicity, Jonah finally said, in case you haven't figured it out yet, this is Oliver Weatherly, the original beetle of Midnight Gulch. Well, that's it for chapter 8. I'll read chapter 9 some other time. Anyways,